Thanks for joining me. I promise this story earns every minute.
My name is Elena, and I'm 34 years old. I've been married to my husband, Marcus, for 8 years. We met in college, fell in love fast, and built what I thought was a rock-solid life together. We bought a beautiful house in the suburbs of Denver, Colorado. Marcus works as a senior project manager at a construction firm, and I run my own interior design business from home. On paper, we had everything: the house, the careers, the love. The only thing missing was the baby. For years, we tried to conceive. I went through fertility treatments, hormone injections, countless doctor visits. The whole nightmare. Month after month, I stared at negative pregnancy tests until I couldn't bear to look anymore. The doctors finally told us what I had been dreading. My body couldn't carry a pregnancy to term. My uterus was too weak, they said. I would never be able to give birth. I cried for 3 days straight. Marcus held me through all of it. He told me we would find another way. He said our family would happen, no matter what. He was so supportive, so patient, so loving. I believed every word. I had no reason not to. That's when surrogacy entered the picture. Marcus researched it extensively. He found a reputable agency in California that specialized in gestational surrogacy. The idea was simple. They would match us with a healthy young woman who would carry our embryo. The baby would be genetically ours, carried by someone else. It wasn't the way I had imagined motherhood, but it was a path forward, and I was desperate for that path. The agency sent us profiles of potential surrogates. We reviewed them together, discussing each candidate over dinner, weighing their backgrounds and motivations. Marcus seemed genuinely invested in the process. He asked thoughtful questions about their health histories, their support systems, their reasons for wanting to help. I loved him even more for how seriously he took it. Then we found her. Her name was Kayla Brennan, 26 years old, single, a yoga instructor from San Diego with a warm smile and an easy laugh. Her profile said she had always wanted to help a couple become parents. She had no children of her own, no major health issues, and a clean background check. She looked perfect on paper. In our video call, she was charming and empathetic. She asked about our journey, our hopes, our fears. She seemed to genuinely care. We signed the contract in March. The legal process took 2 months. Background checks, psychological evaluations, medical screenings. By June, Kayla was ready. We flew to California for the embryo transfer. I watched through a window as the doctors placed our embryo inside her. It was surreal, painful in a way I couldn't explain. Another woman was carrying my child, and I was standing outside, helpless. But Marcus kept me grounded. He held my hand through every step. He reminded me that in 9 months, we would be parents. He said the biology didn't matter as much as the love we would give our child. I clung to those words. They became my lifeline. The first trimester went smoothly. Kayla sent us weekly updates, ultrasound photos, heartbeat recordings, little notes about how she was feeling. Marcus and I framed the first ultrasound and hung it in our bedroom. We started a nursery. We picked names. We told our families. Everyone was excited. My mother cried when I told her. She said she had been praying for this moment for years. But somewhere around the 4-month mark, things started to feel off. It started small. Kayla's messages became less frequent. Where she used to text daily, now it was every few days. Her updates grew shorter, more formal. She stopped sending photos. When I asked if everything was okay, she assured me it was. She said she was just busy with work, with her yoga classes, with life. I tried not to overthink it. Pregnancy was hard. She was doing us a favor. I had no right to demand her constant attention. But Marcus changed too. He started traveling more for work. Short trips to California, he said. Site visits for a new project his firm was bidding on. At first, it made sense. His company had been expanding into the West Coast market. He had mentioned it before. But the trips became more frequent, once a month, then twice. Sometimes 3 times in a single month. Each time he was gone for 2 or 3 days. I asked him about it once, casually, over breakfast. That California project must be huge, I said. You're there almost every week. He didn't look up from his coffee. It is. Biggest contract we've ever pursued. If we land it, we're set for years. Must be stressful, I said. It is. But it's worth it. For us. For the baby. He reached across the table and squeezed my hand. His smile was warm, familiar, comforting. I pushed my unease aside. I was being paranoid. Marcus had never given me a reason to doubt him. 8 years of marriage, and he had been nothing but loyal and devoted. The stress of the surrogacy was making me anxious. That was all. Then came the night I found the messages. It was late October. Marcus was in California again, supposedly for another site visit. I couldn't sleep. I kept thinking about the baby, about Kayla's silence, about everything that felt wrong but that I couldn't name. I wandered into Marcus's home office, something I rarely did. His laptop was on the desk, closed but not shut down. I told myself I was just going to check my email. My computer was in the bedroom, and I didn't want to wake it up. I opened his laptop. It wasn't password protected. It never had been. We trusted each other completely. Or at least, I had. His email was open. I wasn't snooping. I really wasn't. But something caught my eye. A name in his inbox. Kayla Brennan. Multiple emails. The most recent one was from 2 days ago. The subject line said, "Missing you already." My heart stopped. I shouldn't have opened it. I knew I shouldn't have, but my hands moved before my brain could stop them. I clicked, and I read, and I read, and I read. The emails went back months, dozens of them. Hundreds, maybe. They started friendly at first. Updates about the pregnancy, questions about doctor appointments, casual check-ins. But by July, the tone had shifted. They were flirting. By August, they were explicit. By September, they were planning their encounters around his business trips. "Can't wait to see you Thursday," one email read. "The hotel by the beach, room 412. I'll leave the door unlocked." "Last time was incredible," another said. "I keep thinking about it. About you. I don't know how much longer I can pretend this is just about the baby." "The baby is ours now," Marcus had written back. "Not hers. Ours. You're giving me everything she can't." I read that line 10 times, maybe 20. Each time, it cut deeper. You're giving me everything she can't. Everything she can't. She. Me. His wife. The woman who had loved him for 8 years. The woman who had endured needles and hormones and heartbreak trying to build a family with him. The woman who is currently decorating a nursery for a baby that might not even be hers. I scrolled through more emails. There were photos. Photos I will never unsee. Kayla, pregnant with what I had believed was our child, posing in lingerie in a hotel room. Marcus, shirtless, kissing her swollen belly. The two of them in bed together, laughing, naked, wrapped around each other like they were the married couple, and I was the stranger. The worst one was a video. I didn't watch the whole thing. I couldn't. But I saw enough. Enough to know that this wasn't a one-time mistake. This wasn't a drunken slip. This was a full-blown affair, hidden behind the facade of a surrogacy arrangement that I had initiated, funded, and believed in with my whole heart. I sat in that office chair for what felt like hours. The room was dark except for the blue glow of the laptop screen. I didn't cry. Not at first. I was too shocked, too numb. My brain kept trying to find another explanation. Maybe it was a fantasy. Maybe they were role-playing. Maybe I was misunderstanding. But the dates matched his trips. The locations matched his hotels. The baby in her belly was growing, and the timeline of conception didn't align with the embryo transfer. I did the math in my head over and over, hoping I was wrong. The embryo transfer was in June. She was 4 months pregnant in October. That meant conception around June or July. But the embryo transfer should have made her pregnant immediately. There shouldn't have been a gap. Unless the embryo didn't take. Unless she got pregnant the natural way instead. Unless the baby she was carrying wasn't from our embryo at all. Unless the baby was Marcus's and Kayla's. The realization hit me like a physical blow. I doubled over, gasping for air. The room spun. I thought I was going to be sick. I stumbled to the bathroom and dry heaved into the toilet, my body shaking, my mind screaming. They had stolen my motherhood. Not just my husband, not just my trust, but the one thing I had wanted more than anything in the world. A baby. My baby. They had used my desperation, my infertility, my love for Marcus, as cover for their affair. They had let me believe I was becoming a mother while they were creating their own family right under my nose. And the worst part? I had paid for it. I had paid the agency fees, the medical bills, Kayla's compensation. I had funded my own betrayal. Every check I wrote, every appointment I scheduled, every hopeful moment I spent planning our future. It was all part of their scheme. I don't remember going back to the bedroom. I don't remember lying down. I just remember staring at the ceiling until the sun came up, my body frozen, my mind running in circles. What do I do? Do I confront him? Do I call her? Do I tell our families? Do I hire a lawyer? Do I walk away? Do I stay and fight? Every option felt impossible. Every path led to more pain. Marcus came home the next evening. He walked through the door with a bouquet of flowers, my favorite, white lilies, and a smile that made me want to scream. "Hey, beautiful," he said, setting the flowers on the counter. "How was your weekend?" I was sitting at the kitchen island, a cup of cold coffee in front of me. I hadn't moved in hours. I looked at him, really looked at him, and I saw a stranger. A handsome, charming, lying stranger who had played me for a fool. "It was fine," I said. My voice sounded foreign to my own ears. Flat. Hollow. He didn't notice. Or if he did, he didn't care. He started unpacking his bag, talking about his trip, the meetings, the project. He was animated, excited. Probably because he had just spent 3 days in a beach hotel with his pregnant mistress while his wife sat at home worrying about nursery colors. "Marcus," I said, interrupting him mid-sentence. "Yeah? When did you and Kayla start sleeping together?" The room went silent. He froze, his hand halfway inside his suitcase. For a split second I saw fear in his eyes. Real, raw fear. Then it was gone, replaced by confusion. "What?" He laughed, but it was strained. "What are you talking about?" "I found the emails, the photos, the videos. I know everything, Marcus. I know about the hotel rooms. I know about the beach. I know that the baby she's carrying isn't from our embryo. I know it's yours. I know it's yours and hers." His face went pale. He sat down heavily on the edge of the bed, his hands trembling. For a long moment neither of us spoke. The silence was suffocating. "Elena," he finally whispered, "I can explain." "Explain?" I laughed, and it sounded bitter, broken. "Explain what? Explain how you used my infertility as an opportunity to have an affair? Explain how you let me pay for your mistress's pregnancy? Explain how you looked me in the eye every day and told me you loved me while you were building a family with someone else? It wasn't like that. he said, but his voice was weak. It just happened. The embryo didn't take. She was devastated. She felt like she had failed us. I was trying to comfort her, and one thing led to another. It was a mistake. A terrible mistake. But the baby is still yours, Elena. We'll raise it together. It doesn't matter whose DNA it has. It doesn't matter? I stood up, my chair scraping against the floor. It doesn't matter that you cheated on me? That you got another woman pregnant? That you lied to me for months? That you let me believe I was going to be a mother to a child that has your mistress's DNA? She's not my mistress, he said, and I wanted to slap him. It was a mistake. It was one time. The pregnancy was an accident. One time? I pulled out my phone. I had taken screenshots of everything. Every email, every photo, every filthy message they had sent each other. I threw the phone at him. It bounced off his chest and clattered to the floor. Read them, Marcus. Read every single one. Tell me that's one time. Tell me that's an accident. He didn't pick up the phone. He didn't need to. He knew what was on it. He knew exactly what he had done. What do you want me to say? He asked, his voice barely audible. I'm sorry? I am sorry, Elena. I'm so sorry. I never meant to hurt you. I love you. I've always loved you. Don't, I hissed. Don't you dare say that to me. You don't get to say you love me. You lost that right the moment you touched her. I walked out of the room. I walked out of the house. I got in my car and drove. I didn't know where I was going. I just needed to move, to breathe, to escape the walls that had suddenly become a prison. I drove for hours, through the suburbs, into the mountains, until I found an overlook where I could park and scream into the empty darkness. I screamed until my throat was raw. I cried until I had no tears left. And then I sat there, shivering in the cold Colorado night, and I made a decision. I wasn't going to be the victim. I wasn't going to let them destroy me and walk away with everything. I was going to make them pay, but not with violence, not with public humiliation, though God knows they deserved it. No, I was going to be smarter than that. I was going to use the law, the contracts, the system they had manipulated against them. I was going to take back everything they had stolen from me, my money, my dignity, and yes, even the baby. Because here's the thing about surrogacy contracts. They're legally binding, and Kayla Brennan had signed one that said the child she carried was intended for Marcus and me. Biological parentage doesn't always matter in surrogacy law. What matters is intent. And the intent, documented in black and white, was that this baby was meant to be ours. I spent the next week in a fog of research and planning. I hired the best family law attorney in Denver, a woman named Patricia Holt, who had built her career on complex custody and surrogacy cases. I told her everything. I showed her everything. And she looked at me with a mixture of sympathy and determination that told me I had chosen the right person. This is going to be messy, she said, spreading the contracts across her desk. But it's winnable. The surrogacy agreement is ironclad. Kayla waived her parental rights. She agreed to surrender the child to you and Marcus upon birth. The fact that the embryo didn't take, and she conceived naturally with your husband, doesn't automatically invalidate that agreement. What about Marcus? I asked. He's the biological father. Doesn't he have rights? He does, Patricia admitted. But he's also in breach of the surrogacy contract. He violated the terms by engaging in a sexual relationship with the surrogate. That's a major ethical and legal violation. The agency will likely terminate their relationship with him, and depending on how the judge views his conduct, his parental rights could be challenged. And Kayla? Patricia's expression hardened. She's in the worst position of all. She signed a contract surrendering parental rights. She accepted payment for surrogacy services. If she tries to claim the baby, she's essentially admitting to fraud. She took money under false pretenses, carried a child she knew wasn't part of the agreed-upon arrangement, and concealed an affair from you. That's not just a breach of contract, Elena. That's criminal. I felt a cold satisfaction settle in my chest. They had thought they were so clever. They had thought the surrogacy arrangement would protect them, give them cover, let them hide in plain sight. But they had signed their own downfall. Every document they had signed, every check I had written, every legal form they had filled out, it was all evidence of their deception. "What do we do first?" I asked. "First," Patricia said, "we file for divorce. We make it clear that Marcus's infidelity and breach of contract are the grounds. We freeze the marital assets so he can't drain the accounts. Then we notify the surrogacy agency of the breach. They'll conduct their own investigation, and trust me, they do not want the scandal. They'll likely terminate both Marcus and Kayla from their program and may even pursue legal action against them for fraud." "And the baby?" Patricia leaned forward, her eyes sharp. "That's the complicated part. Under Colorado law, the intended parents in a surrogacy arrangement have strong claims to parental rights. You are the intended mother, Elena. You paid for the surrogacy. You entered into the agreement in good faith. The fact that Marcus is the biological father actually strengthens your position in some ways, because you're still his legal wife, and marital assets were used to fund the arrangement. The child, regardless of biology, was intended to be raised in your marriage. But if we divorce, then we fight for custody. And given Marcus's conduct, the affair, the deception, the breach of contract, I believe we have a strong case. Judges don't look kindly on parents who manipulate surrogacy arrangements for personal gain. And Kayla has no standing. She signed away her rights. She can't just decide she wants to keep the baby because it's biologically hers. That's not how surrogacy law works." I left Patricia's office feeling something I hadn't felt in weeks. Hope. Not the naive, desperate hope I had clung to during the fertility treatments. This was different. This was the hope of someone who had been knocked down but was getting back up. The hope of someone who had a plan. I filed for divorce the next day. I didn't tell Marcus beforehand. I had Patricia serve him the papers at his office in front of his colleagues. Petty? Maybe. But after what he had done to me, I wanted him to feel a fraction of the humiliation I had endured. He called me that night, furious. "How could you do this to me? At work? In front of everyone? How could you get another woman pregnant while I was paying for it?" I shot back. "We're not even, Marcus. Not even close. This is insane," he said. "You're going to destroy both of us. The baby. What about the baby?" "What about the baby?" I asked. "You mean the baby you created with your mistress while pretending it was part of our surrogacy? That baby? It's still a child, Elena. It still deserves parents who love it." "You're right," I said. "And it's going to have one. Me." He went silent. "You can't be serious. You're not even the biological mother. And neither is Kayla, legally speaking. She signed a contract. She took my money. She agreed to carry a child for me and surrender it at birth. The fact that she cheated with my husband doesn't change that contract. In fact, it makes it stronger. She committed fraud, Marcus, and you're an accessory to it." "You can't take my child," he whispered. "Watch me." I hung up, and I didn't answer his calls for 3 days. In the meantime, Patricia moved fast. She contacted the surrogacy agency and presented them with the evidence, the emails, the photos, the timeline of conception versus the embryo transfer date. The agency was horrified. Within a week, they launched a formal investigation and terminated their contracts with both Marcus and Kayla. They also sent a cease and desist letter to Kayla, reminding her of the legal consequences of violating her surrogacy agreement. Kayla tried to contact me. She sent a text message, then an email, then another text. I didn't read any of them. I had Patricia handle all communication. The only message I allowed through was a formal notice from my attorney, reminding her of her contractual obligations and warning her against any attempt to interfere with the surrogacy arrangement. She didn't take it well. According to Patricia, Kayla hired her own lawyer and was claiming that the surrogacy contract was void because the embryo didn't take, and the pregnancy resulted from a consensual relationship outside the agreement. She argued that she was the biological mother and therefore had parental rights that superseded the contract. Patricia laughed when she told me, "That's not how any of this works. She can argue whatever she wants, but the law's clear." She signed a gestational surrogacy agreement. She accepted compensation. She can't just decide the rules don't apply because she got caught sleeping with the intended father. If anything, her argument makes her look worse. She's admitting to intentional deception. The legal battle dragged on for months. Marcus fought the divorce. Then he didn't. Then he fought it again. He was erratic, emotional, desperate. He lost his job after the scandal became public. The construction firm didn't want the bad press associated with an employee embroiled in a surrogacy fraud case. Kayla's yoga studio lost clients. Her reputation in San Diego was destroyed. She went from being a beloved community figure to a pariah. And me? I kept my head down. I focused on the case, on my business, on rebuilding my life, piece by piece. I sold the house. I couldn't stand to live in it anymore, not with the ghost of Marcus's betrayal in every room. I bought a smaller condo downtown, closer to my design studio. I redecorated it from top to bottom, filling it with colors and textures that felt like me, not us. The baby was born in February. A little girl, 7 pounds, 3 ounces, healthy and perfect. I was there for the birth, in the delivery room, holding Kayla's hand as she pushed. It was surreal. The woman who had stolen my husband, who had betrayed me in the worst possible way, and I was the one she clung to as she brought our child into the world. She looked at me afterward, exhausted and tearful. "I'm sorry," she whispered. "I'm so sorry, Elena. I never meant for any of this to happen." I looked down at the baby in my arms. My daughter. Legally, emotionally, completely mine. "I know," I said. And I did know. I knew that people make terrible choices when they're lonely, when they're desperate, when they convince themselves that the rules don't apply to them. But knowing didn't mean forgiving. Not yet. Maybe not ever. "You'll have visitation rights," I told her. "Supervised, through the court. I'm not a monster. She's your biological daughter, and she deserves to know where she came from. But she will be raised by me. She will have my name. And she will never know you as anything other than the woman who helped bring her into the world. Not as a mother, not as family, just a donor." Kayla closed her eyes. Tears streamed down her cheeks. "That's fair," she whispered. "More than I deserve." Marcus didn't fight for custody in the end. The legal costs had bankrupted him. The scandal had destroyed his career. He moved to a different state, started over with a job far below his qualifications, and faded into obscurity. He sends birthday cards to our daughter. I let her open them. She doesn't know who he is yet. When she's old enough, I'll tell her the truth. All of it. Because she deserves to know the whole story, not just the parts that make me look good. As for me, I'm thriving. My design business has never been better. I have a beautiful daughter who calls me Mama and fills my days with joy I didn't think was possible. I have friends who stuck by me, family who supported me, and a strength I didn't know I had. Sometimes people ask me if I regret the surrogacy, if I wish I had never gone down that path, and the honest answer is, I don't know. The surrogacy brought me the greatest betrayal of my life, but it also brought me my daughter, and she is worth every scar. Would I do it again? No, never. But I don't regret where I ended up. I don't regret who I became. They say what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I used to think that was just something people said to make themselves feel better. Now I know it's true. I was broken. I was shattered. I was betrayed in ways I never imagined possible. But I rebuilt myself. I fought back. I took what was mine, and I made a life worth living. Marcus and Kayla thought they had outsmarted me. They thought the surrogacy arrangement was the perfect cover for their affair. They thought I was too trusting, too naive, too broken by my infertility to ever see the truth. They were wrong. I saw everything. I remembered everything. And in the end, I won everything that mattered. My daughter is 3 now. She's smart and funny and has my eyes, even though we don't share DNA. She loves painting and dancing and asking a million questions about the world. She is the light of my life, the reason I get up every morning, the proof that family is about love, not biology. And every time I look at her, I remember, betrayal can break your heart, but it can't break your spirit, not if you refuse to let it. So if you're going through something similar, if someone you trusted has stabbed you in the back, if you're sitting in the dark wondering how you'll ever survive, let me tell you something. You will survive. You will thrive. And one day, you'll look back and realize that their betrayal was the catalyst for your greatest comeback. Don't let them win. Don't let them take your power. Fight for what's yours. Rebuild your life. And never, ever let them see you bleed. Thanks for listening, everyone. If this story resonated with you, please like this video, subscribe to my channel, and hit that notification bell. I have so many more stories to share, and I can't wait to tell them. Until next time, stay strong. You got this.